moving more towards solar. We have lots of programs where we're subsidizing solar panels for homes, for businesses, but we're also looking, the government is also looking into building a solar farm, a floating solar farm, and to expanding. We have a little island where we have our windmills, so we're trying to get solar panels there as well. So,
and maybe just to add, it should be very beneficial because typically the electricity prices in islands are really
very expensive. Yeah, exactly.
So it should be a very, sustainable business for doing it.
Exactly. So yeah, you're absolutely right, and this is why we're really moving towards renewables. And I know there is even a project for waste to energy. Yeah. All right. No.
Maybe I can add a few words here from Icelandic perspective. That exactly, as you say, I mean, the fact that we have used our geothermal so much in our for our heating systems, and we are using hydro for electricity in our houses, has meant that we are actually economically well off, and maybe we can say we are an independent country, because this has meant the world to us, not having to import oil for heating houses. We still have to import oil for the cars and for the fishing fleet, but we hope to see it change in the coming years. And this has meant the world for us. But I also want to say, because I mean, to sympathize sometimes with these small islands, especially for instance in the Caribbean, where weather extremes are of that degree that I had a conversation with one of the negotiators from them during the last COP. And I said, what about windmills? He said, you know, we cannot build the windmills because they're blown away in the next tornado. So it's up to us, countries. I mean, some of these countries have the ability to have geothermal projects. It's up to us to mobilize the finance and our companies to go there. So I somehow sympathize sometimes with these countries as well. We've been there. Yeah. Any more questions?
Just a brief question. My name is François Martel. I'm actually from the Pacific Islands Development Fund. And first I want to congratulate the three of you, because this was by far one of the most dynamic side events I've attended so far. Thank you. But my question is very simple. We are organizing the first Pacific Blue Economy conference in preparation for the SDG 14 UN conference next year in February. And I wanted to know if you do have counterparts in the Pacific Islands. And if you don't, then I'll be very happy to be the liaison to try to organize such a network for the Pacific Islands, because I think the work that you've expressed and showed us is fundamental, and we need to actually include this. Even if I'm not young anymore, I would like to be able to contribute to that. So my question is, do you have Pacific Islands counterparts or not? In that SIDS youth organization. Thank you.
So specifically in the organization that we talked about, it brings together young people from the Ames region, and not specifically Pacific, because when we started it around 3 years ago, it was thanks to UNESCO, who brought young people in the different 3 regions before the UN conference on SIDS, and we realized that while the Caribbean and the Pacific youth are so well organized amongst themselves, we are not, so we needed this entity to bring us together. So we work with young people from Ames region. That said, we do partnerships, and we have friends from the Caribbean, for example, the Caribbean Youth Environment Network, from the Pacific, the 350.org Pacific. So, you know, we just started like talking to them. So we have these, but we would love to have more contacts and definitely partner with them. Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Daniela from Seychelles Island, and I've been registered under the Seychelles government, but I'm here as a private sector driven. And I will say I didn't have time to be on time to hear what Karin have to say this morning, but I would like to thank the two Mauritius and from Iceland. I really, like the gentleman has said, I think it's been one of the best side events that I've been since I've been here in Marrakesh. I think it's fantastic to leave the climate change in the hands of the youth. and because the youth, they'll be able to communicate and pass on to the young generation. But at the same time, I would like to say that climate change is today, it's not tomorrow. So I think as a private sector, I'm in the tourism industry, and I've got 6 small hotels, I would say Hotel de Charme, where we've tried to keep as much as possible Seychelles as it used to be, and we know it's becoming very difficult with the big chain coming, investing in our country. What I would like to say today is it's today that not only the youth, but we adults and the older generation, we have to get together. And we cannot leave everything in the hands of government, for NGOs to take decisions. I think we will make it if we all get together, and you need the private sector more than ever to be in with you, get us on board with you. And I think I will say, I started the tourism when I was at the age of 15 years old. I can tell my age, I'm 56 years old, and I'm still so happy to promote Seychelles. And as you know, Seychelles' main economy is the tourism industry. It's a pillar of our economy. And I mean, Mauritius as well, because I know the destination very well, and in general, all the Indian Ocean islands. I think it's a great idea that you're sharing ideas, you're sharing what we can do together, because the ocean is not only the Seychelles territory, it's the whole Indian Ocean. So I think it's a great idea, but how can we do to be, we as a private sector, to help you implement all those ideas that we think is the best to alleviate the climate change. Thank you.
Daniela, thank you so much. I mean, I'm just going to address you personally. I mean, you missed the last part of my presentation, but I did say it was not them and it's not us. It's, it's all of us together. I mean, it's really, we really need to work together. We're small and every actor counts. In terms of the private sector, we have been doing a lot of work with the private sector, and thank you for your support. I will definitely contact you and see how we can work together. But we have had a few sustainable tourism forums. I mean, I spoke about the climate change tour. We did visit a few hotels and what they're doing, but I am really on board in that we need to keep it local, keep it small, and what are your hotels doing in terms of sustainability? So, in terms of how the private sector can help, we've had many partnerships, especially I spoke about the cleanups that we've done, about tackling marine debris. They've really come on board. The hotels are on the coast, so they are as affected as we are, and they are as interested as we are. So we really came on board with them. They partnered with us, and we did cleanups. We cleaned on 4 different islands. So it was really with the help of the private sector, and all our funding comes from the private sector. We have no funding from the government, so and we're sustainable, as in we source out our own funding. We do it through CSR, we do it through sponsorships, through donations. So it really means a lot that you've come and you've said that we should partner together, even if it is in kind or through monetary donations. I will definitely contact you and see how we can work together.
Do we have any more questions? I just want to put a very quick question to each one of them before we are done today. And I want to ask each one of you to name one issue where you think that you might be needing capacity. I mean, what would be the key capacity issue that you would need to support you in your endeavors? Start on the end. I know it's not easy. I know there's so much needed, but. In general, I mean, what comes to mind as the main capacity now?
From my end, I think, so we work directly with young people who come up with so many brilliant ideas, and they're in this stage where they want to implement their ideas, and we're connecting them to mentors, and they're starting. But I think they would still need more capacity in terms of, just implementing the project, because most of them are students and they have this brilliant, crazy idea. So where to start? And you talked about like the internships, fellowships. I think these kind of exchanges, they just telling them that your idea is great, you have to implement it, we're here for you, and we will support you is brilliant.
So mentoring everybody, yes?
Yeah.
we're ready for that. Next, Karim.
I think I'm very much in line with what Karuna has says. In terms of capacity building, I think it's important that I am here today. I'm here talking to all of you. I'm here sharing my experience. And I think we really need to empower youth to be able to do that. And so for me, in terms of capacity building, I know Mary and we had this conversation, and it was really how to communicate. How do you get your ideas out there? How do you translate this passion into action? How do you get people to care about it? So it's really, for me, this would be somewhere where we would really need to build up capacity, because the ideas are there. I mean, we know this, the ideas are there, but we really need, how do we translate this into proper action?
Thank you. And next?
You ask hard questions, Rin.
I'm sorry.
But I think I'll echo what Karuna and Karine have said and also add to it, because we don't work specifically with youth. We work with practicing mid-career professionals.
Yeah.
And I think something happens around the time you turn 30, where you start to realize that the world is really shit. Everything's, awful. And there's something that happens this beautiful, youthful, I can actually change it spark starts to sort of fizzle a little bit when you realize the old power structures that exist that are actually the monster you have to fight. And of course, when you work in a multicultural setting like I do, you start to understand the way that governments in other countries work. Corruption, nepotism, hierarchical, power dynamics, and you start to understand the shape that people put themselves in, which is that if I have to compete for a job in the government against 10,000 other people who are all very excellently qualified, I'm not going to say anything to my boss that makes him upset. And I think that's counter-science, this mentality. And so when you talk about, what skills or what capacity do people need, my mind jumps to changing culture and revolution, and, the next generation of leaders need to be empowered and strong and dedicated. Not only do we have to have the skills and the knowledge, the expertise to understand what we're talking about, we need the skills to speak truth to power. And we need the skills to turn our passion into action in a way that will actually make a difference in our homes.
And thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you said that, but then you have not opened the door for other actors to get the education. Because let me tell you, the Paris Agreement, meet the targets, everybody has to do it. So if you insist on only accepting applications maybe from a government, you're leaving out a lot.
I'm on board with you, honey. I know. Yeah.
So,
The other thing is, you mentioned, you studied small island states under 100,000 people. And when you said that, I was relieved because Iceland has 320. Now, it's not very many. But the program that we work for, and this is maybe to echo what Hrund was saying, what do you need? The program that I work for, we are 4 staff. 4 staff running a program that's been going for 20 years. We work in 52 countries, and I think that also speaks to the island mentality of stepping up, do it yourself, figure it out. When people ask me to describe my job, I say, well, I do everything. Everything that is done, I do. And I think it would be wonderful to grow the program. And if we don't grow it, then other people should also be taking on programs like ours.
Yes.
And if it's not within with the limits of our mandate to start working with NGOs, then other programs should spring up that do the same thing. And one of the things that I wanted to mention is, what obligation do more developed countries have to SIDS and to ocean science? And I think this is one of the best ways that we can positively contribute to solving climate change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to end by closing, I'm from Antigua, and I was in the gender meeting since I got here. And when I saw that everything is going you know, to 2018, 2020, I say we are having impacts right now, you know, for me as a country to sit down and wait till, you know, you decide these things. So that's why in my country, I came on the government's delegation. I partner, my organization partners, because that's how we're getting things done through strong, active partnerships.
Exactly.
And we're changing our legislation right now, where the local community groups, the grassroots people, they are key in decision making right now on our national committees, and we are getting there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm so grateful for this active audience here, because our speakers really deserve it. They have been fantastic today, and we give them a good applause. And partnership is key, and I'm happy to see that we are already forming partnerships here with this event. I'm so grateful for that. So I'm looking forward to see the fruits of that. Thank you so much for coming here today. Have a nice stay for the rest of your stay here in Marrakesh. Oh yeah, and you all know that the Ocean Action Day is tomorrow, of course. So yeah, there's a program all day about the oceans, if you haven't had enough. Possible.